Gentlemen, thank you for granting me an audience to present my ideas and thoughts for our great country of China. If we follow the revolutionary fundamentals that I will outline, we can strengthen and fortify the power of the people against the corrupt politicians and unscrupulous military leaders, from within our own country and from any foreign intrusion. According to my plan, our revolution will proceed through three stages in order to succeed. First is a military stage, which may result in a period of destruction as we eliminate corrupt officials and warlords, and reform their use of oppressive customs. This will be followed by a second stage of transition. During this transition stage, we will build a system of democracy and local governance with districts. I will expand upon this shortly. Eventually, the people of these local districts will choose their own self-governing body. The third stage will complete the revolution and mark a period of national reconstruction. This stage will create a constitutional government in which the districts exercise the will of the people both locally and nationally. If we want to restore the status of China in the eyes of the world, we can only do this by unification of all of our people. The problem we must solve is, how do we terminate the suffering of our oppressed people, and how do we do it once unite them as one nation? We must base our unification on a foundation of benevolence and virtue and all that is right, in order to create a united nation that is strong and powerful. We must blend our ancient traditions with what is pure from a democratic perspective and what we find today in the new republican form of government. With this plan in place, we will not rule anymore by oppressing our citizens through the use of military might, but instead we will govern by what is right. I now present to you nationalism, democracy, and livelihood as the three principles by which China will regain its status as a world leader. The principle of nationalism and its ideas were inherited from our forefathers. We witnessed this in the Manchus, with whom we have lived side by side. Historically, we have shown a nationalistic policy of unification and tolerance, and that is what we should strive for once again. Through a people united, we will forge ahead as a nation with virtues in its eyes. The principle of democracy was preserved in our books with such sayings as, "Heaven sees as the people see, heaven hears as the people hear," and "The people are the most important, while the king is of least importance." Our history does reflect the democratic sentiments. I have traveled the globe and have studied the advantages and disadvantages of democracy. It is these advantages, along with our ancient traditions, that I believe a constitution for our central government should have 5 boards: the executive, legislative, judicial, examination, and censor boards. The people of the districts will elect the president by way of electing the representatives who will form the legislative board and the formation of the executive board. The other 3 boards will be appointed by the president with the consent of the legislator, but these 3 boards will not be responsible to the executive and legislative boards. Within the legislative process, the people will be vested with a certain civil rights and will be represented by a national assembly. These 4 powers, or rights of the people, are election, recall, initiative, and referendum. As I mentioned earlier, the people in the districts will have elections. They will also have a system in place which will give the people the right to recall an elected official who has not performed the duties of their office as they should. They will have the right to present an initiative or petition to be voted upon. They will also have the right to vote upon referendums presented to the people for approval or denial. In this way, the sovereign power to the nation is transferred to all the citizens. The principle of livelihood has been a source of great study and enlightenment for me. The pursuit of economic growth in many of the Western civilizations is creating an uneven distribution of wealth among its citizens. This is becoming a source of great concern for some of their founding fathers. It is my belief that a nation united in its goals can minimize the disparity in its citizens by way of proper planning and through state ownership. It would be practical to assume that the state would be ideally suited to provide clothing, food, housing, and transportation for its citizens. I believe this will also limit any anxieties or unrest amongst our citizens as we proceed through the stages of this revolution. Again, gentlemen, I thank you for allowing me to present my plan before all of you. I trust that as an adoption of the implementation, the revolution will be successfully concluded. What will be left will be a stronger and more virtuous nation. What we, as a united people, will create will be the envy of the world. The decision lies in your hands.